Welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams. I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And here, week 3 of Bootober. We continue our exploration of the spooky, the occult, the demonic, with a film from 2022 by first-time filmmaker, writer-director Miriam Diallo, Master, starring Regina Hall, Amber Gray, and Zoe Renee, as 3 women strive to find their way at a prestigious New England university. They find out that it may disguise something more sinister. This is yet another film where perhaps the real monster is racism. But before we get into all of that, how are you, Lynn?
I'm doing well, Vincent. How about yourself?
I am also doing well. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Before we give everyone out there a programming note, we want to say hello to each and every one of you as we are streaming live from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. We are streaming to Facebook and Instagram, as well as to YouTube, where each and every one of you that has hit the bell, subscribed, and are notified of when we go live are sitting out there in the chat. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
All right, I want to let all of you tuning in live make you aware that in 2 weeks, on Tuesday, November 5th, which may go down, it's one of the most important days in American history. We'll talk about that in a quick second. The Micheaux Mission will not be doing a live show on that night, nor will we have a canned show running for you. We are actually going to be taking that night off. It is, as I mentioned, likely the most important day in American history. It is election day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here in the United States, where we are electing, among other things, congressmen and senators and judges and council people. But we will also be electing a president
We
of the
will
United
also
States.
be electing a president.
Our 47th president?
Something like that.
Yeah, 47th president of the United States will be elected on that day. So the Micheaux Mission will not be live. So we will be probably, like most of you, tuned in somewhere to see how things go and to see where we are going to be on November 6th.
Drinking.
We'll be
I
drinking.
think I'll probably be drinking.
It may be drinks of joy,
Probably be drinking.
or we may be drowning our sorrow.
Probably be drinking. You know, the first time Barack Obama ran, I made a drink, and finished the drink, like, waiting for the numbers to come in, and then I finished 2 drinks
Before,
and then they called California,
okay.
and then when he was up for re-election, same thing. I set it up, and I always joke I had gotten, I think, 4 sips, and they had called it.
Oh, the second time.
They had called it the second time,
Yeah.
because remember, he beat his ass.
Oh, yeah.
For the re-election, and it was like, oh, okay. So I'm hoping for it'd be nice to have a 1 drink night.
Yeah, about to say, because 2020, I'm sure it was a little bit more than 2 drinks.
Yeah.
It was days of drinks.
Yeah.
As that worked out.
Yeah.
But this time is going to be very, very interesting. And I don't mind saying, we all have to play our parts, as I was telling Vincent.
He was.
Before we went live. I will be working the polls here in Philadelphia.
He will.
On November 5th.
That's right.
And not only will I won't just be any simple poll worker missionaries. No, not Len. No. I, brace yourselves, will be officially judge of elections.
Judge of elections.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. That means at my polling place, the buck stops here with Len, the Bat Tribble. All right?
Judge Webb.
That's Judge Webb.
Keeping everything moving.
That's right.
Keeping everything moving.
That's right.
All right.
What do we do, Judge Webb? I'll be the judge of that.
I'll be the judge of that.
Let me tell you exactly how this is going to go down. I am going to be the person that actually sets up the whole poll.
Set it up.
Sets everything up.
Set it up.
I give everyone their jobs. Make sure that they are doing their job.
Sure.
Where they need to be.
Sure.
And then at the end of the night, I am the one that takes the votes and delivers them to the state.
All right.
For counting.
All right. All right. Are you in charge of the I voted stickers?
I will.
I know
I designate that out.
You designate that out.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I designate out.
Right.
You are the
you're
in charge of the stickers.
You're the czar of stickers.
Yes.
And then you. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I will be knighting people.
All right. Okay.
To do.
So we will not have a show that night.
We will not. No.
Okay.
We no.
All right.
Unless you want to do a live show from where
I don't.
Okay.
May not even be legal. Right.
No, I don't believe that would be legal.
No.
No, it would not.
But you know what? You be the judge of that.
I will. So, there you go. That's a programming note for you folks. Okay. Farrell Blackwell is in the chat. Speaking of poll, can we get a poll in the chat for the missionary's opinion about a show being recommended? About a show being recommended?
See, why are you all in the...
Because you know what?
We're doing real time, and
now
you're distracted.
I'm not... Look, I'm talking to the people in the chat. Every once in a while, we should go to the people in the chat. They have interesting conversations. They be having a party.
I know.
They be having a party.
We're the hosts, though, so you got to move.
Well, I am moving, but I saw that, so I thought that maybe a quick scan might show exactly what he was talking about, so that I can answer it in real time.
He's talking to them.
Okay.
All right, dude. Now
What he says at Micheaux Mission.
Right. Well,
So I thought he might have been talking to us.
Right.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm checking.
Right.
I'm checking in real time.
Right. You're not the judge of this.
So, I'm going to move on.
All right.
And move on to the words that we have gotten from some other missionaries.
All right.
Their emails.
All right.
As we like to call them.
Missives from missionaries.
So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from missionaries.
Ooh.
Missives from missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries. I will be reading the emails, but before I do, I want to give a shout out to not just all of our fans that are watching as we are streaming live, such as Farrell Blackwell, who let know that he is actually talking to us as well, asking about an audience poll. But not only to the people that are out there in the chat, but to all of you who watch our videos on YouTube after they go up and are watching them, later on in the days, and leaves us comments. I want you to know that we are reading the comments. We appreciate each and every one of you that gives us your feedback.
We do.
And we will actually, starting in a couple of weeks, start sharing some of those comments as part of the missives from the missionaries. So if you have questions or thoughts that you would want to share, feel free to leave them in the comments, and who knows, your comment may be read here on air.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
All right.
This first email is from, I think this is one that we missed from a couple of weeks ago. This is from our good friend, Sean Simmons.
Hey, what's up, Sean?
Hope this email finds you well. I have two quick questions for you both. In addition to personal horror faves I look at every year during this month, I'm also running back some very early movies, such as far back as the 30s and 40s, when the horror genres really got its start. Are there any horror movies during that time period that are personal favorites or stick out to you? Are there any horror movies from, say, the 30s, 40s, maybe into the 50s?
I really like the big three. Like
Dracula.
I really like Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Okay.
Like I actually, it's funny, we were talking before we started talking about watching things with my dad. And my dad actually told me that Dracula was scary when I was a kid. I was like, it's 7 or 8. I was like, it can't be that scary. And, Dracula holds up. And I've revisited it over the years, and it does. It really holds up. Likewise, I think Frankenstein and Boris
Karloff.
I think Boris Karloff is so good.
Absolutely fantastic.
In Frankenstein.
Yes.
Like so good. And again, the sort of nuance and texture that you get from his performance. And
the Wolf.
Lon Chaney Jr. in The Wolfman. Like those are 3 real favorites of mine. I like Nosferatu. Like I think Nosferatu is actually scary.
That is scary.
Like actually scary.
Yeah.
I know we're moving out of it a little bit, but I think the first Creature from the Black Lagoon is pretty effective.
Okay.
Yeah, like I like that.
But okay.
But yeah, so nothing that obscure with me. And you?
Dracula, it held something to me when I was young. But upon rewatching, and even at an early age, Dracula didn't do it for me. But Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein, I absolutely love both of those films. Absolutely love both of them. And you're right. It's all about Boris Karloff in both those movies. Even though shout out in a very small but effective role, Elsa Lanchester as the bride. So I'm huge fans of them. I like Lon Chaney Jr.'s Wolfman. I do. So I enjoy him. I like the fun, even though it's comedy horror. And I know you feel the same way about this. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's fun. Yeah.
But it's fun. But it's it's like the all-star game of that genre. Because it's Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr.
Right.
Even though it's Glenn Strange as Frankenstein's monster. But the one that I will say, and I hear you on the Creature of the Black Lagoon. Something about that suit just doesn't do it for me.
Really?
Yeah, something about that suit. Like it looks a little like I immediately see the rubber. So it just doesn't do it for me.
So off-putting in a good way.
The one that does do it for me, especially for tone, is The Mummy. The Mummy, for the tone of it, really hits me. And again, that's Boris Karloff.
I find The Mummy slow.
But no slower than Dracula. I find Dracula crazy slow.
Dracula is all of the it's the vibe.
See, but that's what with The Mummy, the vibe gets.
And I think the sets are really cool in Dracula.
Okay.
Yeah, like I hear you. I think Dracula is much more atmospheric for me. But
well, the atmosphere of The Mummy.
Yeah, okay.
The Mummy with Boris Karloff.
Right.
That does it for me for that period. Sean had another question.
Like I said, Nosferatu.
Oh, Nosferatu. Yeah, then Nosferatu.
I don't even
agree
really
with
mess
you.
with it. Like that's
Me
actually
neither.
scary.
No.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
No. Yeah, I don't mess with that.
Okay.
He has another question, and this may be more in your bag.
Okay.
Because you are a fan of horror comics. So he wants to know, what are some of your favorite horror genre comics? I'm not a fan of horror comics, so.
I don't think you can go wrong with Bernie Wrightson's Swamp Thing, which they've reprinted a million times from the 70s, so you can find those pretty easily. Sticking with Swamp Thing, I think Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run is one of the few Alan Moore comics that is not overrated. Like, I think it is absolutely horror. Along those lines, maybe the first year of Sandman before it gets real twee is really good.
What about Preacher?
Well, Preacher's not really horror.
Oh.
Yeah, Preacher's kind of funny from the very beginning. Kind of, Garth Ennis is just a frat boy.
True.
I don't think you can go wrong with any old issue of Creepy or Eerie, like the old comic horror magazine, and you know it's always a mixed bag because it's just an anthology, but it's always at least one or two bangers every issue that you pull.
Were you not or have not become a fan of Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan's Tomb of Dracula from the 70s?
I love Tomb of Dracula. It's almost like I don't think about Bruce Lee movies as karate movies. Like they're so good, they transcend the genre. I think Dracula transcends the genre.
So it's so
like I think everybody should read Dracula.
It's so good as a drama,
right?
Which is what it kind of like reads as,
right? That
you don't even appreciate the horror,
right?
It's just horror elements,
right?
As opposed to right.
But those are my kind of accessible go-tos, and then you know, like even with creepy and eerie, there are like certain artists that are like a little. Like I was telling you, we went to Paris and there was a dude, like I collect Richard Corbin art in comics, but like I got punked in Paris because they were like, we got all the Richard Corbin you want. You got $10,000? And I said, I don't have $10,000. And then they were like, well, why are you in here wasting our time? But yeah, but you know, as far as just my go-to, I think Swamp Thing. I think Swamp Thing is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So
very good.
If my final answer is Swamp Thing.
Good.
Alan Moore, Bernie Wrightson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you buy Wrightson's Frankenstein?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean, for your email.
Thank you, Sean.
We got another email.
All right.
This is from Isaac. Oh, no, excuse me. This is from Jacob Bloomfield.
Hey, what's up, Jacob?
And the subject line is Isaac Julian. Dear Micheaux Mission, hello. I hope you had a great weekend. This is Jacob, long-time listener, second-time caller.
Okay.
More on calling at the end of the show. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I don't think you've covered any films by Black British director Isaac Julian, have you?
Okay.
No.
I don't think.
May I suggest a double feature consisting of Young Soul Rebels? Oh, that's come.
Young Soul Rebels has come up a few times.
Yeah. And Looking for Langston, the latter being a short film. I would love to hear your thoughts on those films, and they'd serve as an excellent springboard for a discussion of the Black gay renaissance of the late 70s through mid 90s. Love the podcast. Please don't change. Best wishes, Dr. Jacob Bloomfield of the University of Constance and the University of Kent.
All right. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. He has come up, and I think maybe we can start pushing him.
Yeah, because I know Young Soul Rebels.
I'm about to say, we've talked about Young Soul Rebels off air a few times.
Yeah, about pulling that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good look. And it's interesting that he mentions Looking for Langston and that being a short film, because I've been actually trying to wrap my head around, you know, I remember when, once, I forget whether or not it was for Bootober or for Octavia April, when we did the Michael Jackson movie. Captain EO.
Yes, that's what we did.
I did it as a double feature.
Yes.
And I was actually thinking about, I want to start trying to do that again, maybe like once a quarter, so that we can cover some of these shorts that one have even come up, but just give them their just due, you know?
Dude, along those lines, I think we could do the Thriller short film as a short. Like the extended one?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could.
Yeah.
We definitely stretched the boundaries of the...
I think that fits better than Captain EO.
Paradigm. No, technically it doesn't, because Captain EO was released to the theater. And I don't think Thriller was released to the theater.
Okay.
So, Captain EO actually fit more.
Right, it was in the theater at Disney.
It was in the theater.
The theater.
Give me your lip. I'm the judge. And I say, Captain EO.
Captain.
Next email
Next email.
from Michael Sykes.
What's up, Michael?
Hey, Len and Vincent. Happy Bootober. This weekend I watched great classic black comedy movies, such as Friday, Life Coming to America, House Party, 1990, Coolie High, White Man Can't Jump, Scary Movie, Harlem Nights, and Boomerang.
Oh, you had quite a weekend.
Quite a weekend. And after watching them, I got depressed, thinking what happened to making more black great comedies like the ones I just mentioned. Today, the black comedy movies we got are trash, like You People, Coming to America, House Party 2023, 50 Shades of Black, The American Society of Magical Negroes, The Blackening, Tyler Perry trash comedy movies, and a bunch of unfunny Kevin Hart movies on Netflix.
Ooh, Michael was on a rampage.
I'm not even including his miniseries on Peacock. What happened to raunchy, thought-provoking black comedy movies? I have not once saw a black comedy movie in the last 4 years that really made me laugh. We got all this black drama, but where's the black comedy? Like House Party and Friday. Have you noticed that most of the bad comedy movies I've mentioned earlier had Kenya Barris' name written all over it?
Goodness.
Shout out to Andre Holland in a great movie I saw this weekend called Exhibiting Forgiveness, which we actually talked about earlier.
We were just talking about that.
Love, your fan, Michael.
All right.
Well, Michael was on a
Michael didn't even have a question.
No, he did not. He just had an opinion that he needed to state. He had something on his chest he had to get out. He got it out. And we're glad we could be the vessel.
We could be there for you, man.
But to your point, though, there have been a couple of movies as of recently that have made me laugh.
What's the last black comedy made you laugh?
Well, I would say, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the movie because I see this as a bit of a comedy. The Jeffrey Wright movie with Erica Alexander, American.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of that? Dylan, what's the name of that? American Fiction.
American Fiction was definitely a comedy.
Yeah, so that made me laugh. And
it was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
I actually think that as a dark comedy, Honk for Jesus has made me laugh.
Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul was a comedy.
Yeah, and
they were both great.
Those are great movies.
Right.
Both starring Sterling K. Brown.
Apparently, just need Sterling K. Brown to get involved.
Yeah. So those are the two that off the top of my head as I was reading his email.
Now, in his defense, both of those are pretty highbrow.
Okay.
I mean, but sort of the
so maybe on like just the mid-tier, just want to be funny,
right? Just sort of mid-tier.
Well, okay, it's not. I don't know how. It's still fairly recent. Girl Trip.
Oh, Girl Trip is not that recent.
It's in the last 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but
the movies.
That's a shame if Girl Trip is the last one you can name.
Well, it's not the last one I can name. You just
no. I mean, mid-level.
Okay.
Like at the Cineplex movie as opposed to the art house movie.
I think that there is comedy to be mined. Also, okay, two movies. Movies are Sorry to Bother You. Definitely has a comedy in it.
I don't know if that's playing at the Cineplex. That's also at the art house.
Okay. Well, then I was going to say They Clone Tyrone. And They Clone Tyrone's is comedy.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's definitely comedy. Would they have played They Clone Tyrone in the theater? I mean, like the Cineplex.
I think so. I think so.
I'll accept They Clone Tyrone.
And honestly, I think, okay, Sorry to bother you. It's it maybe not playing at the
Cineplex.
the Cineplex,
Right.
Maybe not, but I think there's some Cineplexes that might have gotten Sorry to Bother You. I mean, if they got the book, what was the Book of Nathan? What was that movie?
I don't think that was at the Cineplex.
That was at the Cineplex. That was in Center City.
Yeah.
I mean, it came and went.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, what's the last good outside of the two I named?
The reason I asked you is because I was sitting here and couldn't come up with something sort of mid-level popcorn Cineplex. Like I do
Dolomite.
again.
I mean, what?
Yeah,
you people was on. He mentions you people. You people was on Netflix.
You know, I do
as well.
think Kevin Hart has sucked the air. Like between Kevin Hart and The Rock, they've sort of sucked the air out, and both of them, I think.
Book of Clarence, thank you.
But Clarence, you know, both of them, I think, as far as I'm concerned, miss more than they hit. Although now that it's over and done with, and now I'm listening to the podcast, I landed on. I really enjoyed Fight Night.
You said that. I mean, you were enjoying it the whole.
Yeah, I don't
way
think
through.
we've talked about Fight Night out loud on the show, but like I really enjoyed Fight Night, and Kevin Hart showed me a little something.
Okay.
Like you know, I've said it before. I've been frustrated with Kevin Hart
You want
I
more
feel
from
like,
him.
and I really liked him by the end of Fight Night.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like
I mean, I guess it's a little harder to think of.
right.
I'm having a hard time.
Right.
But also to that point, though, I think it's because more of your writers are finding, and this is happening in the movies in general, they're finding those type of films are making their way to more streaming, or they're just fleshing out the stories and they're becoming series.
Because I was going to say, I don't know what the last great white comedy was. Really?
That's a good question.
So, but it's a good question. Yeah.
All right. I have one more email. This is from Michael Lockett.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Best pre-show ever.
Okay.
What is he talking about? Let's see. What's up, my brothers?
Did Dylan had a mic on while we were talking?
It gets dicey in here before the cameras come on, folks. Just let you know. It does get the show before the show. Just for Dylan. Michael goes on. What's up, my brothers? I think Bootober is off to a great start. As usual, his house, however, left me a bit flat. The premise was outstanding, but the horror to me was a letdown. The house wasn't enough, and the psychological torture of the two dealing with what they did to get to the mansion also wasn't enough. Mansion is stretching it. I don't usually champion someone remaking things so soon after their release, but I think this could be redone and elevated to unbelievable levels. I disagree with you, Michael, but that's your opinion. During my time travels, I landed with you two as you critique the Jackie Robinson story. Before I get to Jackie, I have to make my case for why you two should always record in the morning. One, y'all was letting it fly, no pun intended, regarding Issa Rae. The multitude of ideas regarding what could be great documentaries was outstanding. You two made me look stuff up, which I always appreciate. And three, the amount of unbridled laughter was off the chart. So I have to listen to this.
I was about to say.
Yeah, listen to this episode
I
again.
was like, what were we talking about before the show?
Well, we weren't really like really looking forward to reviewing the movie, The Jackie Robinson Story. So we may have prolonged the pre-show.
Hello, I'm Jackie Robinson. This is my story.
This is my story.
The Jackie Robinson story. Starring me
Jackie Robinson.
as myself, Jackie Robinson. And also Ruby D.
This is Ruby D. She plays Mrs. Jackie
She
Robinson.
plays Mrs. Jackie Robinson, my wife,
In the Jackie
in
Robinson
the Jackie
story.
Robinson story.
The movie about me.
Jackie Robinson.
Scene 2. Michael goes on. Concerning the Jackie Robinson story,
Right.
as soon as this mediocre outing is put into the context of when it was made
Yeah.
and some of the reasons it was made,
Yeah.
the movie deserves its iconic status.
100%. I think we landed on that too.
Yes,
like
we
all
did.
jokes aside. Yeah.
Yes. Most of the time, when it comes to critiquing black films, most talking heads do not put the film into the context of what gauntlet the movie had to survive just to get in front of us. There are entirely separate and unequal hurdles for black stories with black people in front of and behind the camera. Quick question for you, too. The iconic Jackie deserved this film and all the other accolades for what he endured on behalf of all of us. Who else would you two think is or was so important to the black experience on these shores that undoubtedly deserves both a theatrical feature and a documentary? By the way, you can time travel for this thought experiment to get documentary footage. All the best, Michael Lockett. Ooh, that's a good question. Who else do you think important enough to the black experience on these shores to get a theatrical? Has there been a movie about the life of W.E. Du Bois?
W.E. Du Bois? I don't think so. And that would be a good one.
Yeah.
He's a really complicated person. You know, there's never been a Marcus Garvey movie.
No, there hasn't.
You know, Garvey would be great.
No, there hasn't. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Marcus Garvey. I would love, you could pick any one of the Bessies. Bessie
Yeah.
Coleman. Was it Betsy Wright? There's another Bessie, or as I'm saying Betsy. Bessie Coleman, and then there's Bessie. Oh, now I gotta look it up.
Right, the various Bessies. I'll let you pick
Bessie Smith.
Yeah, one of any of the post civil rights black mayors.
Okay.
So would that be good for Philly? Like, who was he the first black mayor?
Yeah, I mean,
Fascinating. It would be a hell of a story.
okay, but do you do good or do you do?
I'm doing interesting. I'm doing like I think that whole him is like
What about Marion Barry?
I was gonna say
That's
Marion
the
Barry.
one to go.
Like, I think all of those, that wave of black mayors in the 70s going into the 80s.
Okay, but do you think that they are important to the black experience?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%.
Well, they're definitely cautionary tales, good and
No,
bad.
not just
To
cautionary.
a degree.
I think they have complicated stories, which is why I'd love to see a movie about them. It's funny. So much of Fight Night is about this moment where Atlanta is about to become Atlanta. Like the way we think about it, like the black, and so much so is that Andrew Young, right? So, and I know how much Andrew Young had to do with that. We were just talking when we were talking about Petey Green about what Marion Barry did for the black middle class, and I think each of these cities, like when we talk about that leap after the civil rights movement. I think any of them could have a movie, and as you said, depending on where they landed, it's a tragedy. It's all of these different things, but I've been on that kick since we were talking about Petey Green and Fight Night. Like these mayors have been on my mind.
I'll tell you another name whose story is not done. And I think so. I think this is a story that will be told, but it won't be for probably at least another 20, 30 years. And that's Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. And you're right. Like Oprah Winfrey, hopefully we don't see this movie for a very long time, but I think it'll be 20, 30 years after she's passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be 130 years from now. But Barry Gordy's another one. That is going to be a great movie, but he's going to have to be gone
to get it to get the story,
to get the real movie,
to get the story.
So
the same with Oprah.
Right. So that's why I said not only is she going to be gone, it's going to have to be like 30 years later. Like all of everything that she's left in place is going to be gone. So you know, those are some movies that I hope we don't get for a very, very, very long time.
And Stevie.
Oh, don't even do it. All right, yeah, Stevie Wonder. All right.
Yeah, I mean, because I started thinking about, wow, a Michael Jackson movie is about to be coming out.
Yeah.
And like Stevie is right there.
Stevie Wonder movie would be great, but he's another one. I don't know if you can do it right while he's with us.
I mean, they did Ray.
Yeah, but even when we talked about with Ray, like so much of Ray was kind of sanitized and massaged, and
there were just some things that you couldn't not show.
Right, we're actually talking about movies that I never want to see.
Fair enough.
Right.
The Stevie Wonder, the Oprah Winfrey's. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. All right. I see your brother in the chat says that a Bill Cosby movie would be insane.
Look, man.
See, but
he's another one.
Okay, but how do you feel about,
first of all, it's too toxic right now.
It's too toxic right now. But how do you feel about these complicated men like you brought up? Bill Cosby, Marion Barry, Wilson Good. I think Wilson, like Marion Barry is definitely, he's complicated. They're all complicated.
Yeah.
Wilson Good is complicated. There's a part of me that, as much as I know, thinks that Wilson Good was trying to do the right thing or whatever. But how do you feel about those complicated stories being elevated in such a way that maybe that we don't get the W.E. Du Bois, who has been sitting out there waiting for somebody to really give an appreciation to his life?
I don't think it's a zero-sum proposition. Like, I don't think we have to do one.
Well, I think as time moves on
and sacrifice for the other.
No, you shouldn't have to. But as time moves on,
right?
I think some of those names that don't get put up like they should, like W.E. Du Bois, will get more and more get lost.
Du Bois ain't going nowhere.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, Du Bois ain't going nowhere.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about this next generation.
Yeah.
Whether or not how far back in the crates they're going to dig. Like they'll get to Marcus Garvey. Are they going to get all the way back to?
Look, from everything that I've understood and read, this character that Denzel Washington is playing in Gladiator 2 is based on an actual dude.
Okay, but it's not the dude.
No. But my point is, if they can go back that far for a black character,
yeah, but that's Ridley Scott, 80 years old, going back.
Sure.
I'm talking about the filmmakers of.
Look, it's gonna have to be one of them filmmakers anyway. Like, a young hot cat ain't making a biopic. Sophia Coppola made that Priscilla Presley movie that non-people saw.
That's true.
But she got to make it because, I'm Sophia Coppola. And now it's there. So,
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Well, good question. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Appreciate the email. Appreciate all your emails.
Absolutely.
Missionaries. If you want to have an email read here or a comment, you can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. All right?
All right.
And I'm going to let you know, and I'm letting Vince and Dylan know in real time so that he can cut his eyes at me, that starting in November for the holidays, we're bringing back voicemails so that you can leave your holiday greetings to Vincent and Len and Dylan, and we can share them live here on the air. So look for that. We're going to be bringing that back in November. We'll be announcing it so that you can share your holiday greetings, and we'll play some holiday greetings during the show in November and December. That will be fun.
Sure.
Okay.
Lynn and his phone.
And now, it's time for the top 5.
All right.
My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
Top 5, where I present a list and Vincent gives us his scintillating commentary on said list. And the people in the chat, they laugh hysterically and say, oh my God, this is the best show ever.
Ever.
Tonight's top 5, keeping it in theme, Vincent.
Okay.
We are going to be reviewing tonight Master from
Yes.
2022, which is a film that is set in a New England college.
Yes.
But definitely is a film that deals with racism,
Yes. Which might be the real monster.
which may be the monster of Master. So, and that is makes sense because probably since Jordan Peele released Get Out,
Yeah, it's
more and more
Yeah.
horror films have been kind of like walking in this lane.
it's very much a post Get Out film.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So, having a little bit of social commentary along with your booing. However, that has long been a bit of a trope of horror films
Sure.
over the years.
Sure. Sometimes the real monster is racism.
Oftentimes. And usually it's done to interesting effect or not so interesting effect. You be the judge.
Okay.
I've chosen 5 films where the effect, it's a little iffy.
Okay.
So let's see how they did in these films that I am putting under the heading, Race is the Scariest Place.
Race is the scariest place. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Starting with number 5
Uh-huh.
from 2014. This is just the title of the film, Honky Holocaust.
Honky Holocaust.
Yes.
Okay.
A few times each century, humanity dodges an apocalyptic bullet, and in 1969, that bullet was Charles Manson
Okay.
of Helter Skelter fame.
Yeah.
But in Honky Holocaust alternate universe, the Manson family succeeds in igniting the apocalyptic race war and attempt to claim their rightful place as rulers of the world.
Sure.
The infamous cult instead finds that the outcome of Helter Skelter is drastically different than was prophesized and are forced to confront their perversely racist background or perish defending it. In this film from Trauma Pictures.
The fine folks at Trauma.
Yes. Honky Holocaust, directed by Paul McLarney
Sure.
and starring Maria Nadapoff,
Oh, I didn't know Maria Nadapoff was in it.
as well as Jamil Goforth,
Oh, Jamil.
Emily
Goforth.
Durant,
Emily Durant.
and James Baglini.
James Baglini. Is that of the New England Baglinis?
Yes, he is their distant cousin.
Okay. All right. Well, that's certainly a thing that happened, according to you.
That film sounds interesting to you, Honky Holocaust?
Not at all.
It sounds like a film right from the blaxploitation era,
Yeah.
but it's 2014.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Oh, well.
Okay.
Interesting's doing a lot of work in that sense.
Maybe not. Okay.
How was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Well, it was interesting.
How about this film from 1982?
Okay.
White Dog.
I may have heard of this. Go ahead.
I know I've heard of this.
Yeah.
This is actually a film that I watched. It's based on Romain Gary's 1970 novel of the same title. The film depicts the struggle of a dog trainer named Keys, played by Paul Winfield,
Okay.
who is black,
Yes, we are aware of Paul Winfield's work.
trying to retrain a stray dog found by a young actress played by Christy McNichol. That is a white dog trained to make vicious attacks upon and to kill any black person.
Okay.
This film, which was directed by Samuel Fuller, was created to be a platform to deliver a message against racism as it examines the question of whether racism is a treatable problem or an incurable condition.
It's probably best they sent the dog to Paul Winfield. We were just talking about short films. They sent the dog to trainer Vincent Williams to see. This 5-minute short film answers the question definitively.
You're crazy.
My great grandmother used to say the only cure for ignorance is death. It's like, damn, Big Mama. We skip right over books, huh? My family's hardcore.
I see that.
Did this dog end up killing Paul Winfield in this movie?
No, it does not.
Okay, all right.
It does not.
right.
I saw the film.
Did he change the dog?
Well, I'm not going to give that away.
I'm never watching this movie.
You should watch it. It's actually more. It lands.
Does the dog kill Paul Winfield?
No.
Okay.
You should see the
The
movie.
dog 100%
You
killed
should
Paul
see
Winfield.
the
didn't
movie,
it?
Vincent. You should see the movie. It actually is more of a drama. It's got some horrific, stuff.
Did this dog kill Paul Winfield?
You should see the movie. White Dog from 1982.
All right, what's next on this list?
Okay.
All right.
Next film is from 2003.
Uh-huh.
Cracker Jacked.
I swear you're just making up
No,
things.
I'm not. No, I'm not. This is a film written and directed by Chad Hendricks, who, if you're not familiar with his work, also wrote and directed Block Burner, Trap Life, and Bloody Frickin' Mary.
Yeah, sure.
Cracker Jacked, a white boy gets mudholed and plots revenge on the brothers at a house party in the dirty South. As hip-hop culture became increasingly mainstream in the early 21st century, among its worst offshoots was Cracker Jack, a slasher comedy about black college students who are stalked by a masked killer after they beat up a white student who, in an overly eager attempt to be down with them, dropped the N-word. There's a moral in there somewhere, but you probably won't be able to sit through the whole thing to figure it out in the film Cracker Jacked from 2003.
Well,
now, that sounds like an interesting premise for a film.
Not really, but all right.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, how many times has a white person been to feel like they feel for whatever reason they're in a safe space to drop the N-word?
Sure.
Now, in a room full of black people, as a white person, that is never a safe space.
Sure.
But when you're young and dumb,
Sure.
that can happen.
All right.
And then they beat him up, and then he turns the tails
Then he
on,
gets revenge.
and he stalks
And
them.
these evil black people
Each and every one of
beat
them.
him up because he was calling people nigga.
Well, he dropped the N-word. We don't know that he was calling people nigga, but he used the word.
All right.
Okay.
Is number 2 like Ofe Junction?
No.
Okay.
Number 2 is Meat, M-E-A-T, the Jones, or was also known as Urban Cannibal Massacre. It's from 2013. I love your face. Meet the Jones is a humorous but terrifying tale of a prestigious family of black cannibals. For years, the Joneses have enjoyed an endless supply of quote-unquote cattle by feeding on the homeless people from the streets of Akron. The Jones way of life is jeopardized by their daughter Kendall, who is a newly converted vegan and doesn't approve of her family's dark, twisted ways. Therefore, Kendall must decide on keeping up with the family tradition or helping Ed, the newfound love of her life, escape the Jones house of horrors before he becomes their next meal.
All right, you win this round. This one sounds kind of interesting.
See, meet the joke.
Now, what's this got to do with racism?
Well, I mean, because they're eating white people. Eating white homeless people. All the homeless people are white.
All the homeless people are white.
Yes, but
Is that part of the plot?
well, yes.
Okay.
The plot is. I mean, because imagine this family. They're almost like propped up as like almost like the Cosbys
Right.
of Akron.
Right.
But they're cannibals.
But they're eating homeless white people.
Eating homeless white people. But Kendall, their daughter,
Kendall is-
who is now a vegan,
Yeah.
and has fallen in love with one of the white people, Ed.
Was he homeless?
He was homeless.
She fell in love with a homeless dude?
Well, it's a certain,
She couldn't find
different
a
set of
white boy with a
circumstances.
job?
Maybe he was recently homeless.
Okay. All right.
Maybe he just got locked out.
Okay. All right. All right. This one sounds all right. So it's number one.
Number one,
All right.
this goes back to your favorite era,
Okay. The 70s.
the 70s.
All right. So,
1974.
all right.
This is a film. It's a British comedy
Okay.
horror. Directed by Clive Donner. Starring David Niven
Oh. Okay.
and one Teresa Graves.
Oh. What is this?
It's from 1974. It's also known as Vampira, but the world more properly knows it as Old Dracula. This spoof of the vampire genre was made in an attempt to ride the success of Young Frankenstein.
Okay.
David Niven stars as Count Dracula as an old vampire who, because of his advanced age, is forced to host tours of his castle to get new victims. In an attempt to revive his long-lost love, Vampira, Dracula needs to find a victim with a very specific blood group combination to resurrect her by blood transfusion. So he sets out to collect blood from the bevy of Playboy playmates visiting his castle. However, one of the playmates, played by Teresa Graves,
yeah.
whose blood is black, turns the revived Vampira into a black woman. Dracula enthralls. Dracula enthralls the helpless Mark to collect blood from 3 white women in hopes of restoring Vampira's original skin color. Dracula transfuses the blood into her, but she is unchanged. However, her bite turns Dracula black. Mark and his lady love, Angela, race to destroy Dracula, but are taken aback after seeing Dracula's new skin tone. They are so surprised that Dracula and his new black bride, Vampira, are able to escape and catch a flight to Rio de Janeiro for Carnival. An Old Dracula from 1974.
So you're telling me that bit from The Simpsons, where it's Black Dracula meets Blackula, is kind of based on a real thing?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Now, you know you want to see Old Dracula, don't you?
I feel like I've seen this.
I feel like I've seen it too.
I feel like I've seen
As I was
it.
reading
Yeah,
through it, I
yeah.
feel like I
Yeah.
saw it too.
You know, I like that Teresa Graves.
You did, well, there you go.
Right.
There you go.
All right.
Well, that
Well, there you go.
are 5 movies where race is
The scariest place.
maybe.
Maybe the scariest place. All right. Well, there you go.
All right, it's now time for the Game of Kings, or as we like to know it more popularly, 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
Six Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where Vincent has 6 films or less to connect D'Urville Martin to 2 actors of my choice. Tonight we are going to be reviewing Master,
Yes.
2022, starring Zoe Renee, Amber Gray, as well as Regina Hall.
The great Regina Hall.
But these two actors that I'm going to present to Vincent have nothing to do with Master.
Okay.
So they're just two names that I have selected.
Two names that you have selected.
Yes,
Okay.
for you to
And
connect.
what is the first name that you have selected?
In 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to David Oyelowo.
Oh, yeah. David Oyelowo. So, David Oyelowo, how do I want to get to him? Here's how I'll get to David Oyelowo. Derville Martin is in get to him fairly quickly.
You can.
Oh no, I can. I'm trying to just put everything in place. Yeah, so I'll say Derville Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams is in is in Mo Better Blues with Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson is in Django Unchained with our friend Omar Dorsey. And Omar Dorsey is in Selma with David Oyelowo.
Very good. Very good, Vincent. And shout out to Omar. See you on Instagram, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Long time no see, brother.
Much props to you. Okay, very good, Vincent.
All right. Good.
What
I
is-
like David Oyelowo.
I was going to ask
Yeah,
you.
I like him a lot.
What is your favorite David Oyelowo film?
Oh, that's a good question. Because in full disclosure, I forget what he's in because he vanishes.
He does,
He vanishes in his roles.
except for Selma.
Except for Selma. Well, we'll always think about Selma because that's his,
Really a big coming out.
Right. And quite honestly, I was also trying to get to him in the middle of nowhere. But I couldn't quite put together Omar Hardwick and my girl who's in that too. But I don't know what my favorite off the top of my head. What's yours? I'm probably gonna go with what you say because you're gonna say something good.
Well, I was leaning on Queen of Catway.
He's good in that.
He's good in that.
He's good in that.
But actually, I do have his filmography up, so I have that. to go
Also,
on.
in full disclosure, I'm in the zone right now because we're in the middle of the game. So, I can't really think of anything
no.
because my whole head is wide open because I'm waiting for you to
I don't know.
say
Did
who
you
the next person is.
Did you ever see the movie Nightingale? It's an HBO film where he plays Peter Snowden, a guy who in his late 30s starts the story by confessing to murdering his mother. And it basically is like a one-man movie.
Okay.
And I remember that being really affecting.
Yeah.
You should see that.
He's really good in everything he's in.
You should see that. It's on Max.
Yeah,
You would.
yeah.
I think you would like that one.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those would be my two choices off the top
Okay.
for him. But he's, like you say, the man, he does good work.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Next. In 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to
Two.
Fantasia Barrino.
Oh, Fantasia. Now you get the. Has Tasia been anything besides The Color Purple?
Films?
Yeah.
No.
All right, so I just got. You just gave me 2 easy ones real quick. Yeah, all right. Well, yeah. How are we gonna get to Tasia? It's a bevy of folks you could get to. All right, so Derville Martin is in how do I want to get to Tasia? I'll do quick. I'll do quick, and we'll sing his praises because he just passed. So D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. Mm-hmm. Sidney Poitier is in A Raisin in the Sun with the great Lou Gossett Jr., rest in peace. And then Lou Gossett Jr. is, of course, in the remake of The Color Purple with Fantasia.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Very good, Vince. Mm-hmm. All right.
Is that her only film?
That is her only film.
Yeah, okay.
To date.
Yeah.
But that brings up a little bit of a question. Mm-hmm. In doing a little bit of research for the film we're going to be reviewing, Master, I was looking through the filmography of Regina Hall.
Yeah.
We're huge Regina Hall fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if you know, like, if you go onto IMDb,
Mm-hmm.
and if you log onto somebody's page, at the top it shows like the 4 films that most people search
Right, will know you from. Yeah.
What do you think are the 4 films for Regina Hall?
Scary Movie.
Very good.
Girls Trip.
Very good.
Regina Hall. What are people looking for Regina Hall in?
Or best known for?
Right, I'm sorry that she's best known for. Scary Movie, Girls Trip, About Last Night?
No.
I know it's not Honk for Jesus.
No. And no shade, because Regina Hall couldn't answer this question either. They asked her. She got 3 of them.
I don't. What's
Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Scary Movie 4.
Okay. All right. Right. So the scary movies. All right.
Girl Trip.
Mm-hmm. And what's the 4th?
Law Abiding Citizen.
Wait, who is that? That's
Yeah, she's not the star, but she's in it.
That's what's his name?
What's his name?
Not Clint.
Gerard Butler, I think.
Yeah.
In that.
Who in the world is looking for Regina Hall in that?
But she's in it.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
But that got me thinking. Mm-hmm. If you, because we're both huge fans, but you're a big Regina Hall fan.
I am.
If you wanted to name, if you could had your dithers, what 4 movies would you put up top?
I think Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul is her masterpiece.
Okay.
So I would start there. Mm-hmm. I actually think she's really funny in Scary Movie.
Yeah.
You know, whatever scary movie. I like About Last Night. I like her in
That's
About
the ensemble movie, right?
Yeah. But she and Kevin Hart are absolute. Like, she and Kevin Hart steal the movie from Michael Ealy. And
Was it Making Good?
No. It's not Making Good. It's the sister. Oh my goodness, I just forgot her name, and I love her. But I think they steal the movie from them. And so what's that? 3?
Yes.
3. And
Would you do Girl Trip?
I like her in Girl Trip. I don't think I might do Girl Trip. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, very good. All right. I can't argue with any of those choices. I can't argue with any of those choices.
Yeah. I just, you know, we talked about it. I think it is an absolute crime that we don't talk about Honk for Jesus more.
Oh yeah, I think it's because unfortunately it went straight to streaming.
Yeah, and I think it was completely misunderstood by people. Well, it's a little bit of a trigger for me, Honk for Jesus, because I was so angry at us how we did Honk for Jesus, black people. Like, I think we did it dirty. But all right, go ahead. All right.
Well, that you have Honk for Jesus, I have acrimony. We both have our triggers.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Now it's time for our review of Ms. Regina Hall in Master.
Master, a 2022 American psychological black horror thriller, is the story of three women at fictional Astor College who strive to find their place at the prestigious university that may disguise something sinister. Written and directed by Miriam Diallo in her directorial debut. This film stars Amber Gray, Zoe Renee, and of course, Regina Hall. As we move into Bootober's waning weeks, this was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn,
Yes.
how would you like to begin our conversation about the film Master?
First of all, just and we may be mispronouncing this all throughout, so apologies to the writer and director of the film, Miriam Diallo.
Miriam Diallo.
This is a movie that I saw maybe about a year or two ago as a blind watch on Amazon when it popped up. Being a big Regina Hall fan, it was like, oh, Regina Hall's in the movie. Say less. Sit and watch this. And this is a film, just like we said, like a lot of, if you're more psychologically bent thrillers and horrors as of late have been following in the wake of Get Out. So they've got like a little bit of like a tint of social commentary, mixed, blended in with them. Thinking about Get Out, thinking about Us, thinking about Them, which was a miniseries. And this kind of like falls right in that wake. And it's interesting, Miriam Diallo pulling from her own experience as being a student at Yale and the microaggressions that she had to put up with in that setting, but wanted to turn that as the stepping off point for a movie in that setting, where Regina Hall plays a professor who is actually, for the first time, Professor Gail Bishop, who is the newly appointed first black master at Ancaster University, like you said, this fictitious university. While at the same time, Jasmine Moore, Zoe Renee, who we saw in Jin,
Yes.
doing incredible work. So it's nice to see her continuing on in her field and also returning to the screen. She moves in as a freshman in the school and is assigned to room 302, which is a historic room because it was once occupied in 1965 at the college by Louisa Weeks, Ancaster's first black undergraduate who committed suicide by hanging in her dorm. Now, I'm going to stop right there because what do you want to bet that had any other person besides a black person find themselves to be hung in a dormitory on a college campus, that dorm would now be no longer available for people to move in and occupy on that campus. That dorm would now become the steampunk junction room, or some way off closet, or maybe just be bricked up. Because we're talking about someone hung themselves in there. We're not talking about, which is not, different from somebody who, oh my God, suffered an accident and died. They hung themselves in there. If it was anybody else, you'd be like, oh, well, no, we can't. Because in the era of full disclosure, you've got, I mean, I don't know. It happened in 1965. Maybe you didn't have to disclose that somebody was hung in there. Mm-hmm. But over time, you would have had to disclose. It obviously has become public knowledge because when she is the student, Jasmine Moore is her name, is assigned to this room. The people that assign her, all these white students, they all joke amongst themselves, oh my God, she's got the room.
Right.
And they say all of this in front of her, but never tell her why it is the room.
Right.
Now, mind you, as a freshman, she is assigned to this room, and she does have a roommate who also is assigned to this room, and this roommate is white. So you might say, well, they also gave it to a white. That's besides the point. The fact is that the first black undergraduate, the very first black undergraduate, killed themselves in that room. And yet they just kept it moving. Mm. They just kept things moving, right? That's the first sign that something's wrong at Ancaster when you really start thinking about this. But I continue. As Gail Bishop, as the first black master of this college, and Jasmine Moore as another undergraduate, seemingly the first black undergraduate to return to that room, because you learned that there are a few other black students there.
Sure.
In this, at the college, 8 to be exact. Or we don't know if they're black. We know they're students of color.
And we know that there are 8, and no, they're black because they're in the AFAM house.
Oh, that's right. They are in the AFAM house, but then she purposefully does say they're of students of color. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think that was part of the microaggression.
Okay,
them not,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Which actually, one of the one student who introduces her to the black student body club is played by Karen Young, who we are both familiar with.
Look, man,
from Pearly Victorious.
I'll wait till you.
But when I found that out, I was like,
oh
my God.
One of my many moments in this film,
right?
I wish they would have made different decisions, but you continue.
Very true.
Please continue.
So
it's your turn.
So each of these, Master Bishop, as she's called throughout this, or Professor Bishop, actually, as she's called, and Jasmine are now, greeted with millions of, more Jasmine, millions and millions of microaggressions as basically the one black girl of her soon tribe of about four girls that she hangs out with. All of them white girls. Mm-hmm. All of them like baked in their privilege. Mm-hmm. And so much so that, when one girl spills a beer, in their room, in Jasmine and Amelia, her roommate's room, this other girl spills the beer and she says, "Oh, my bad. Can somebody clean that up?" To which the roommate Amelia throws the rag to Jasmine and say, "Can you get that?"
Yep.
Now, we don't see Jasmine clean it up, but just the fact that that happened. Mm-hmm. Then when Jasmine, when she comes to the on move-in day, has her hair curly, wild, is out. She's looking very Afro-boheme with her look. The next scene you see her when she is with her white girls, her hair is straightened. And it almost gives the impression that she's trying to fit in with that clique a little bit. At least that's the way that it came off to me.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I think that's what they were.
Even with a bit of her style, her dress. She returns to her dorm, one day, and the girls are in the dorm room. But not only are the girls in the room, their boyfriends are in the room, and not only are they all in the room, they are all on the roommate's bed, and they are all on Jasmine's bed. And when she walks in, they don't move. They don't even, they wonder why she here. And the roommate has to say, oh, this is her room. This is her room. And then Jasmine goes and sits on the windowsill between them instead of any of them up and moving off of her bed, making room for her in her room. And that is just another level. And the roommate is completely complicit with this because she is oblivious to, her roommates or quote unquote friends' feelings in this regard. And the microaggressions of this sort continue on throughout this movie. But what we also learn in this movie is that along with this hanging that took place in 1965 from the first black undergraduate, we also learned that sometime ago that on this very land that there was a witch, a Margaret Micheaux.
Yeah, Margaret Micheaux.
Who was accused she was accused of witchcraft, and she was hung nearby. And there is a story that ghost haunts Ancaster University, so much so that the ghost will take a graduate on the anniversary of their hanging and kill them precisely at 3:33 a.m. which was recorded as the
Take a freshman,
a
freshman,
a freshman, and kill them at 3:33 a.m., which coincided with the time of her. I can't remember whether or not it was her hanging or Louisa's hanging, because the two stories start to kind of intertwine in this film, and you can easily lose track of exactly which hanging is being alluded to in this movie. At the same time, Professor Bishop, Regina Hall's character, as the first black master, and it has with that a house on the land. She is visited by apparently the spirits of the black servants that used to work in her home, or at least we're led to believe that it's the black servants by some of the images and ghostly appearances that appear in there.
Right, and maybe she is.
Well, maybe she is. We're not sure. She finds that all of a sudden the home is infested with maggots.
A lot of maggots,
like poking out through paintings.
Yeah.
And you're unsure of what's going on. Meanwhile, there's also this black cloaked figure that seems to be haunting Jasmine all in around the campus, leaving, carving in leave in her door and leaving a noose on the door handle, seemingly burning a cross on the campus grounds. And Jasmine starts to put two and two together, like, somebody's trying to scare me, and starts connecting the dots to these hangings. Along with that, Jasmine is also feeling a little put upon by one of her teachers, by a English professor, Liv Beckman, who was played by Amber Gray. Liv Beckman, who Jasmine accuses of purposefully giving her bad grades. Liv Beckman, a black professor here teaching, African American studies, yet it seems to not have any. Could not appreciate any of the nuance that Jasmine is bringing to her writings in regards to some of the books that they are reading, such yet seems to be lock on to what seems to be very surface level, the explorations that are given by the other white students in her class. So so Jasmine is feeling like, yo, something's not right here. Why aren't we even connecting? And because it just keeps on going, Jasmine is feeling a certain type of way because apparently, seemingly even some of the black people that work at the school, for some reason, besides Professor Bishop, seem to be giving her some type of way. She shows up at the cafeteria. The cafeteria worker, lunch lady Doris, or black lunch lady Doris, is kikiing it with all of the white kids in line. But as soon as Jasmine shows up, she just turns the frown face and basically plotting food on the plate and just keeping it moving. So there are, in this movie, Miriam Diallo has got a lot of balls going, juggling a lot of balls in the air.
A lot of plot.
A lot of plot. And some of these are, as we mentioned, are definitely on, have social commentary, and some of them have more supernatural trappings. And she's playing with a lot of these, the supernatural tropes in this movie. Some people like, the lights go out, someone's there, come back on. Lights go out, come back on, the person's not there. Maggots poking, like we mentioned, showing up in drawers, poking through paintings. Jasmine being seemingly, terrorized and chased on campus to the point where she at one point, races to her dorm room and sees feet showing at the door and jiggling at her door, which causes her to climb out her window and fall out the window. And all of this is driving this young girl crazy. Meanwhile, there's an issue with the backstory of Professor Liv Beckman that comes to light with Regina Hall. Like in the last third of the movie, like we needed more plot.
And by the last 15 minutes.
The last 15 minutes. Okay. Oh, you thought we were done? Wait a minute. One more thing to throw up on the wall. This on top of all the balls in the air that Regina Hall's character has got going on that but all these balls going up in the air. The thing is, all these spinning plates, they eventually, as happened in that trick, every time you ever seen it on the Ed Sullivan Show or a variety show of our era, they would eventually go spinning off of the spike and go breaking. Because they had there was no place to go but down. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, unfortunately, all the balls are in the air. They don't necessarily fall down. But that's because this movie doesn't really give them any place to go. They are really just there spinning around. And it's Miriam Diallo. She has a lot of questions that she wants to ask in this movie. And while I'm all for a movie that asks questions and maybe leaves some things ambiguous at your feet, this movie, I think, leaves way too many balls in the air. Mm-hmm. And then when it does try to wrap up things, like Vincent says, that, basically the enemy is racism. And racism is not going anywhere, as you learn at the end of this film. That is a bit of a tying of the bow, but it's a very sloppy tying of the bow for me. And ultimately just leaves this as a movie that I felt like, wow. I can't say I wanted more because there's a lot here, but I wanted it to like pick a lane and just drive in that lane to the end. And this just was going all over the place.
Right. I always hesitate to bring in a creator's biography in their personal life because I just think that's below the belt. But as you mentioned, when you read about this film, Miriam Diallo references the fact that she went to Yale. And I would be really curious to talk to her more about her experience, because there's not one thing that a black character did in this film that made a lick of sense to me.
Exactly.
Like, as you said, you have these dual narratives, and you have Gail, who has ascended to the position of head of schools. She's a fully tenured professor, which means that she has been in the trenches in academia. Like, this is not a new academician. Like this is a professor. On the other end, you have this young woman, Jasmine. And what I kept writing, like if you look at my notes, at some point I look like a crazy man, because I kept writing over and over again, where are your people?
Yes.
Where are your people? Where are your people? Like, why are y'all so isolated? Like, at no point is there an acknowledgement that maybe one way to address this microaggression, this macroaggression, this racism, so on and so forth, might be in community. And to be clear, as black people, we are not contractually bound
To be with
other black people.
Right.
And certainly, you know black people who, their entire circle is white and they've made a life like this, and God bless them, and all of the disclaimers that we get. But there is no way in hell that this girl went to this college and the other black students on campus did not reach out to her, did not give her a heads up, did not provide her with the opportunity to get support. And when 1 hour into an hour and a half film, Kara Young actually speaks to her
Yes.
and says, you should come to the AFAM house. And she says to you, and Jasmine says at this point, we've had an hour of her dealing with this sort of microaggression. As you said, they it's really this sort of young person cattiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Informed by racism.
Yeah.
As they said, we'll clean this up for you. And there's a wonderful scene, actually my favorite moment in the film, where you realize that Jasmine is a middle class kid, but these are rich girls.
Yeah.
And Jasmine bought a pizza and wants people to chip in for the pizza. And there's this wonderful passive aggressive back and forth about that. But again, we've had a whole film of this, and never at any point does Jasmine say, well, let me find the black kids. Let me see if I can,
Especially since we were already introduced to Kara Young's character earlier on in the movie.
Look, even if I go by what the film tells me, the film told me, I know for a fact from the film, there are 8 other black students at this school.
Right.
They have what they call an and at a lot of these schools, they have houses like this. Like they have a version of it on Dear White People. I think here in Philly, Penn is here in Philly. I think it's like the Du Bois house.
Yes.
Like, there's no way that this school has been here, and certainly not after a documented black student has, probably after that student killed themselves. And again, Jasmine is not contractually bound to go to the AFAM house, but you got to explain it to me. As the viewer, you got to tell me why she hasn't done this.
Especially after the scene when Kara Young does come to her, and you have some There is a moment where they hug.
Kara
and
Young actually says to her, "You're not crazy."
Yes.
And then she just done go. And it's never explained.
Never
why.
explained. Never explained.
On the other hand, this character that Regina Hall plays, Gail, again, this is not somebody right out of grad school. This is I'm like, where, like, I know some sisters you went to grad school with. Like, you don't got no WhatsApp. You don't, like, y'all don't got no weekly Zoom call. At one point, the other professor says we can drive to Boston, and like, like there's nothing collegial about either of these characters, and it's not explained at all. So right there, I spent the whole film, Jasmine has an accident. At no point, her parents don't fly out to see her. Where she you don't got no siblings. You don't got ain't nothing. It's just you in this room with these white girls. But even with that, the only reason that I have enough space to watch it and be concerned about it is because you get the sense that Diallo is not quite sure what she wants to do with this.
Yeah.
Like, is this psychological horror? Which I think there's a version of this film that it is almost is basically, again, sorry, but you look through all this stuff through the prism of Get Out. It's the first hour of Get Out, where, both of these women are going through this microaggression, both from these, from their points of entry in academia. You've got this freshman, you've got somebody in this English department, and this sort of passive aggression that is sexism, that is racism, and part of dealing with it is you trying to say, thinking, am I crazy?
Right.
There are wonderful lines where they say to Gail's character, this is such a great achievement for you. This is where it's like, are you saying this because I'm a black woman? And then you have, like you said, you got the maggots. And then you got, they're these shadows, like at one point, and this is how I know not all of it is psychological, because I was thinking, well, maybe this is going to land on both of them have been affected psychologically. There's a wonderful moment, and there are moments in this film that I like. Like, I really want her first name again.
Mariama.
I want Mariama Diallo to keep working. To be clear, I'm going to land on that because there are moments that I really enjoy. There's a moment when not Gail, but Jasmine is walking, and she's casting a shadow.
Yes.
And they do what I call the Peter Pan effect. Because in Peter Pan, talk about horror stories that aren't really horror stories, where Peter Pan has peeled off his shadow. And I love this effect in horror movies, where Jasmine's shadow is out of sync with Jasmine. And this is not seen through her eyes. This is sort of third person, we are seeing it as of you. So there is clearly something otherworldly going on.
Right.
But it's never really solidified. It's never really dealt with. We talk about this witch that was killed at, during the witch trial. There's a painting of her where her skin is literally white, like the color white, like chocolate, but her features, this was an African woman.
Yes.
And I kept waiting for them
to touch on that.
To touch on that or explore that.
Yeah.
To explore that. But there's like all of the plot that you just did, and you very nobly kind of told most of the plot. But at some point you had to give me a chance to talk, so you couldn't give all of the plot.
There's a lot of plot.
Like, you didn't mention the fact that apparently there's a Amish community.
Oh yeah,
that is wandering around campus,
just walking through the campus.
I don't know if they're Amish or Mennonites or they're the people from the village, and from M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, but they're kind of wandering around
digging stuff. I mean, it was
like they're digging holes in the graveyard, and it's like, well, clearly this is going to be important, and then that never really.
Well, we are visited by Amish in the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Then you come to find out that the one black friend that Gail has might be pretending to be black.
Yeah.
So it's like, is Rachel Dolezal the real monster?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, as you said, there's this ongoing image of somebody in the hood kind of stalking Jasmine. Yeah. And then when maybe Rachel Dolezal leaves a party at the end, you realize she has on a cloak with a black hood. So then it's like, Well, is she the monster?
Right. Which, to be fair, it makes you think, is she the monster? But now it's the first time like you're realizing, oh, that's a part of her Amish upbringing.
That's part of her. Right. That's like, I thought she was just fly, but that's just her. Right. But
Thought that was fly.
you know, I like a cape. You know, hey. You know, I like a cape. But what it really made me think about, quite honestly, is Scooby-Doo. My son was watching one of the newer Scooby-Doo things that they've done over the past 15, 20 years. And it was like some fairies and a werewolf or something. Like it was something like on the Cartoon Channel. And it made me think, you know, the genius of the original Scooby-Doo, like the actual genius of the original Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Scooby-Doo committed to a reality. Mm-hmm. Like no matter what happened, you knew it was going to land on, we live in the rational world.
Yes.
And there's always going to be a rational explanation for what you just saw in the last 22 minutes. And you know, quite honestly, I think Scooby-Doo kind of lost its way sometimes.
Yeah.
Because now they have like actual monsters and actual things. But you had to admire this commitment to this universe. Mm-hmm. Either you are going to be in a rational universe or you're going to be in a supernatural universe. And if there is some type of overlap, you need to have a very clear through line of how you are approaching it.
Yes.
I think there is a stronger version of this film that leans into the psychological, that perhaps ends with Rachel Dolezal was the one all along doing it. And it's almost like a version of my favorite detail of Othello, where Iago is orchestrating everything, but what he's really doing is using the racism and bigotry that was already there.
Yes.
Or this is a supernatural film where this campus is haunted by this African witch that was murdered. Mm-hmm. And then how does this spirit, why is this spirit haunting black kids? Mm-hmm. But because the film never decides and never kind of lands, it gives me space to think about the fact that you know, look, man, anecdote is not proof, but I've been in universities half my life now.
Okay.
The support staff, the black support staff at a university very much supports black students. Like in my mind, with some with the shadow out of place and the ghost and the hanging and the Amish, the most unrealistic part to me in this whole film was that black lunch lady being mean to her. Mm-hmm. There is no way in hell I believe that black lunch lady was going to be mean to that little sister. Mm-hmm. Like this little girl. And, you know, and as you said, we love, I just lost
Zoe
her.
Renee.
We love Zoe Renee. And I think she plays vulnerable and small so well. There is no way that sister is not going to try and look out for her. They have these moments in the film, and I kept waiting for it, where they showed janitorial staff.
And
I kept waiting for one of them brothers to put the broom up and say, you know, little sister, you good?
Yeah.
You need somebody to walk you
or
to
at
the
least
library?
that being some, you know, at least picking up on that note of the lunch lady to give us a reason behind what was happening with them. Right. You know, what is this?
Right. And, you know, again, anecdote is not proof, but, you know, in my experience, everybody, like unless you're just an asshole, which, you know, in which case, then you need to show that. Mm-hmm. Ain't no way in the world them people are not looking out for that little sister and saying, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Let me give you an extra pudding."
Exactly.
The chicken strips are only supposed to have 5 in the box, but I put 6 in your box. Ask me how I know. So there that part, it just didn't it didn't gel with me. And then insult to injury, as you said, Kara Young is in there and does nothing. And frankly, I don't know how much Regina Hall is doing in here. And I keep waiting for Regina Hall to be Regina Hall. But, as I said, ultimately, I didn't like the film.
Yeah, see, but
there was enough in here where I said, I hope she keeps.
Yes, because
so.
the ideas are there,
right?
And to your point,
and she has a good eye.
She has a good eye. The direction is there.
Yeah,
there is a sense of foreboding with things. You're wanting for something because she's setting it up very well.
100%. 100%.
Like something is going on. And two, you're saying like you're not sure what Regina Hall is doing here. She actually is doing a lot. It's just that unfortunately, she's asked to keep playing a lot of the same notes because the balls are just up in the air. They're not really going anywhere. Right. So she has to then find different ways to portray something else. The only time she really gets to portray anything at least different is when she is reacting to Jasmine's plight. And even then she's telling her like, you got to stick in there and everything like that, which to your point doesn't ring true to me considering what she's going through.
There's no way in hell the black dean doesn't say to the little black freshman, have you gone to the AFAM house?
Doesn't take her there.
Take her there. You know what? Sophia is a sophomore. Let me hook you two up.
Sophia, who has already told me how much they appreciate me being here, let me take you to introduce you to, because obviously I can sense, because there's a scene where she sits down with the two roommates and she can sense the tension between them. Spoiler, the roommate soon leaves the movie.
Right.
But at that moment, let me introduce you to maybe you need another type of friend. It makes absolutely no sense.
Look, again, every school in the world has basically big sisters, big brothers. There's no way that this child is just there by herself like this with no one saying,
And especially just to your point, if African-American enrollment in this school is so small, when a freshman is coming, they know it. Yes. They're meeting you at the bus.
Look, man, look.
They're like, yo, there's a sign.
Yeah.
One of us.
Yes.
Number 9, right here.
Number 9.
So that made absolutely.
We can field a baseball team as long as no one gets injured.
Now we've got a picture.
Right. And again, to be clear, you are not contractually bound to hang out with all the other black people. But I need the film to explain to me why.
Yes, you need to see that.
Right.
You need to see, and again, especially after the connection that they make when she is now in the midst of everything she's going through.
Right.
And the first new connection she makes is with this black sister. Why doesn't she follow up on that?
Right.
It makes zero sense.
Makes zero sense.
Especially after her roommate is left. And while there was a breaking in the dynamics between the two of them before the roommate left, she is left with these other two girls who she is definitely iffy on.
Yes.
And she is the movie shows you that she is even more iffy on them after they clown the fact about the Black Student Union group. It's like, oh yeah, they should be ashamed of themselves. And she's like folding it up like, to me, like, well, I'm going to go follow up on this.
Nope.
Nope. Never happened.
Yeah. So I guess the question, of course, though, is would you recommend Master?
I can't.
Yeah.
I want to, but I really can't. I think that it is definitely the seeds of a voice of note in Black films or in film period is there with Mariama Diallo. Like you said, I will be there for her next work, whether it be on the small screen or the big screen. I'll be there for your next work. But I can't recommend this as a movie that's a must-see for people to go out and see. If you are intrigued by the film, you're a Regina Hall fan, you like horror movies, you like thrillers, and you're just looking for something and you luck upon Master and you watch it, okay, go ahead and watch it. But it won't be on my recommendation because I at the end of the day, I just think it's too many balls in the air. And I don't feel it will leaves a satisfying enough of a taste to warrant me recommending that to you.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I kind of wish someone else would have had a go at this script besides Mariama Diallo. You know, obviously she's a young filmmaker, a young creative. This struck me as a script that could have bounced off some people 2 or 3 more times and tightened it up. You know, like I said, maybe had a little bit more focus. As a director, I think she has a great eye. I think she has a great eye. I think there are really effective moments in this film. You know, I mentioned the scene between Jasmine and her roommates. There's a wonderful faculty meeting.
Oh,
that
I was actually thinking about you when I was watching.
Look,
it.
man, look.
How triggering that was for you.
I actually said, this little,
Cut a little deep.
I'll be glad when this scene is over. And I thought that was fantastic. Like you know, I kind of wish they were still making Dear White People.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to see Mariama Diallo. I would have loved her to have been a part of that. And like you, I cannot recommend this film, but I'm keeping an eye out on her.
Yeah, most certainly.
So.
Most certainly. Well, there you go, folks. That is our review of Master. But like as with many of our films, don't let us be your judge. Go check it out for yourself if you like. All right. Before we tell you what we're going to be watching on the final week of Bootober, I invite you, if you are in the Philadelphia area, surrounding areas, and if you want to have fun with Vincent and I and our good friend Stephanie Watts of the Be Real Black Cinema Club, you can join us tomorrow night at Bryn Mawr Film Institute, where we will be screening Attack the Block. The movie that put Johnny Boyega on the map.
Yes, sir.
A rollicking good time whenever I have seen this film, but this will be the first time that Vincent and I have seen this film on the big screen.
It's true.
And we hope to be watching it with you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Bryn Mawr Film Institute. Tickets are on sale at brynmarfilm.org. Come check it out. Stay for the talk back with Vincent, myself, and Stephanie Renee, and for the free pretzels. You can arrive early, and you can check out Jolly Butcher, the short film that was produced by our good friends and recent guest, The Ghouls Next Door, who will be in the building as well to give us a short preview of the film. And at the end, you will join all of the other missionaries in tow in selecting the film that we will be reviewing on the next stop of the Be Real Micheaux screening series when we return in 2025. So that's a lot going on tomorrow night. You'll want to be in the building. Okay? All right, the Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcast work such as ours, which is available on all the social media of your choice, whether or not that be Instagram, X, or Facebook at Micheaux Mission. We're also available, of course, on YouTube, where all of you are watching in the chat, where you are invited to subscribe and hit the bell so you are notified of when we go live and put up all of our new videos and shorts, and have a whole lot of fun with each and every one of you as we are growing our YouTube numbers nice and steadily. And we thank you for all of the support.
We absolutely do.
If you want to have your voice heard, send your emails to the Micheaux Mission at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. The Micheaux Mission also streams live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. They have tons of studios and they have tons of Dylans running around producing podcasts all over the studios. But if you want to book yourself in one of these studios, then you have to, unfortunately, get in contact with our Dylan. It's the only other thing we let him do. We let him talk to you about booking time. You can email Dylan, DYLAN, at youngjunk.com, and he will get you set up. I promise he is the best at doing that. All right? Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission, as we close out Bootober, it's a little bit of a palate cleanser.
A palate cleanser.
Things have been a little eerie and
Sure.
creepy and
Sure.
scary and spooky
Sure,
for
because
4 weeks.
racism is the real monster.
It's the real monster.
Racism is the real monster.
Yes. But next week, I'm going to go another way. We're going to go with an all-star cast. Lakeith Stansfield, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito, Owen Wilson, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
I didn't even know all these people were in it.
In Disney's Haunted Mansion.
The checks cleared.
Vincent's selection for our final stop in Bootober next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.